everyone, it's Lexi. So we're getting very close to Christmas. I'm one of those people that likes to get their Christmas shopping done really early. Usually I do it in October, but this year I did it in November. So I was a bit slacking this year, but I know some people like to wait till the last minute to get their like Christmas presents for everyone. So for all those people who are running late this year, this is the video for you. So it is a 2016 book gift guide. So if you are struggling to get someone a present for Christmas and you know that there might be some book options available, then this video will be for you. So I have a couple books of different genres for like different people and like what you're kind of looking for. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get started. So for like, this would be a good one for your mom or like your older sister or your aunt or someone who's a little older. This is kind of skews more on the older mature side. So if you're like this person that you're thinking of, it can be either girl or boy, is into historical fiction, I would highly recommend the Lilac Girls by Martha Kelly Hall, I think her name is. And this was a book that came out this year and it was nominated for one of the Goodreads historical fiction best book of the year, whatever. But it follows three women who were living in World War II in their perspective. So Caroline is a socialite in New York. Herta is a Nazi doctor who worked at Ravensbrück, and then it follows two sisters as well who were in Poland and then are sent to Ravensbrück, which is like a concentration camp where they did medical experiments on women. So if you have like a history buff, then this book would be right up your alley. Herta and Caroline were actually two women who were actually part of World War II, and it kind of follows their journey, but the author kind of weaved in a fictionist storyline into it as well with the two sisters. And this book is really good. I was really attached to a lot of the characters in here, and it just kind of shows a different perspective of World War II because it always focuses on the men, like their kind of perspective. So this one's really good if you have like that history buff. And then this next book is one that I think my like mothers will like, or like older sisters or aunts or grandmothers or whatever, just because it is kind of a more adult novel, and it is The Lake House by Kate Morton. I know my mom and my aunt and my grandma have all read from Kate Morton, and this was I think one of her newer ones that has come out in the past year or so, and it follows the story of a girl named Alice who kind of grew up in Cornwall, and they had this family house, and she liked to write mystery novels when she was younger, and till one day where her family had like a midsummer night party, her brother disappeared. So flash forward like 70 years later, a detective has kind of stumbled upon this case and she wants to look into it, so she kind of uncovers more information about it. And this book had me like guessing until the end. Like, it was really good. Like I said, when I have my review, I'll talk about it, my wrap up, but it's quite dense, so that's why I said it's more towards like a skewed towards a more older audience, but it was really good. I think a lot of people will like this because it does kind of flashes back between the past and the present and just jump around, and sometimes it leaves you hanging and it's like, oh my goodness, I have to keep reading. So yeah, this is one book that I highly recommend. I think most moms will like this, and this is something she has a lot of books that are actually quite popular, so I would definitely check out this author as well. So moving on, if you have a Gilmore Girls fan in your life, then I would look into getting Talking as Fast as I Can, From Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls and Everything in Between by Lauren Graham. So this is like her, I guess, autobiography in a sense. So she talks about like her acting career and how she kind of got into it and how she kind of Gilmore Girls, and what's neat is she talks about each season. Let me see if I can find it in here. It has like Gilmore Girls in it, and she talks about each season and kind of how everything ended abruptly, and she talks about how like parenthood and how she kind of struggled with choosing her career over kind of having a family, and I really like that. But also as well, she kept like a diary of Gilmore Girls, like when they remade it and all that, and like how that came about and all that. And it's really neat because it has a lot of pictures in here, and I finished this in one sitting, and I never really do that, so I highly recommend if you have a Gilmore Girls fan in your life, this is the book you need to get them. So this is for someone who is younger. I would say that this skews more younger, but it's applicable to anyone. And it is if they're wanting to get into fantasy or just kind of get into reading, then I highly recommend they check out Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This book was came out recently, and it is a retelling of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, and Marissa Meyer has written the Lunar Chronicles, which are really popular YA fantasy / sci-fi. So this will be a good one to kind of read. As I said, it's not too hard to read in terms of like the reading level, so I think this will be good. Marissa Meyer always does a good job with kind of doing retellings, and because it's based on a fairy tale that we all know, I think a lot of people will enjoy this book. So if you have someone who is a mystery reader and enjoys it, I highly recommend you check out Getting Them the Bone Garden by Tess Gerritsen. It follows a story of a girl who moves into this very old house that's almost like 200 years old, and she's doing some yard work and she uncovers this body, like a skeleton, in her backyard, and she learns that it was someone who was buried in the 1830s. So she wants to know more about why this was happening, what was going on. So she kind of stumbles into this history, and so it's a dual storyline. It tells present day Boston and then also goes back into the past, and it follows the story of a woman in the past in Boston in 1830 whose sister dies during childbirth, and she ends up crossing paths with this medical student, and in this town there's all these unexplained murders happening that are really gruesome, and they kind of try to figure out what's going on. And this is a really good book. I think a lot of people will like. It's a standalone, so you don't have to worry about getting them the whole series. And Tess Gerritsen is a really good author. She's a physician, so a lot of the medical terminology in there is correct. And she's just a very descriptive author, and I can picture everything in my mind perfectly. So if you're looking for something a little different, then I highly recommend you check this book out. So if you have someone in your family who's very into politics, especially considering the 2016 election, they're kind of into it and they enjoy strong female characters, and they kind of and feminism and just kind of religion and all that stuff, that I highly recommend that you check out looking into Getting Them the Queen of the Tearling series. So the first book follows a girl named Kelsey who has been sent away when she was born in the woods with this couple until she turns 19, and she has to go back to reclaim her throne. But there is a lot of problems with her her kingdom because it takes place in the future, but it's a regressed society, so there's a lot of issues with how women are treated and just kind of body shaming and political. It's a very politically based book, so if you know someone who's into that, then this will be right up your alley. It also questions religion and just all the issues that come across there, and the power of the church and all that. So if you have someone who likes all these things, then I highly recommend you check this book out for them, or the series. It gets better and better, so I highly recommend this. If you have another history buff as well, I highly recommend looking into the author Erik Larson. He wrote Devil in the White City, In the Gardens of Beast, and then he has a new one that came out last year, but he writes nonfiction novels. They're nonfiction works, I guess you can say. He writes it though in a way that it's almost like reading a story, but most of it, he cites everything. There'll be journal entries or diaries and all that, so he's a really good author to look into for that, because he does write history in a way that people can enjoy better. So I highly recommend that you check this author out if you have a history buff like my dad. These books are a really good option for that. So kind of going along, if you have a Harry Potter fan, I highly recommend looking into getting the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, or the screenplay for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. These books, I don't need to explain why, but they're the perfect for Harry Potter fan in your life. And lastly, if you have someone who is not really a big reader, but you want to kind of get them a book, I would recommend getting them The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This is a book that I think a lot, it follows the story of a girl who in Nazi Germany, and just her story during there, how she discovers books. But what's interesting about this this book, which I think will draw many readers into it, is that it's narrated by death. And I think this is a cool perspective. It's written beautifully, and I think a lot of people, even though if they don't really like reading, I think they'll probably enjoy reading this one as well. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some books you think would be good suggestions as well for gifts. And yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.